Are you 55 and older? 55, 60, 65, 70, 75? Well, if you are and you're looking to re-enter the job market, you have come to the right place. So don't go nowhere because the information that I'm going to share with you will be invaluable. All right, so stay with me because I have lots and lots and lots of information to share with you to help you be successful in your re entry to the job market. Perhaps you are getting Social Security and you're thinking, I need to subsidize my Social Security, or you're getting retirement from a job that you worked for many years and you want to subsidize that, or maybe you're getting both and you want to subsidize your income just in its entirety, or you just maybe you're doing okay financially, but you just feel like, you know what, this retirement thing, I've gone on a few cruises, I've traveled a bit, sitting home with my pajamas on, my PJs on, and watching the news and watching paint dry every day is not going to cut it. I really want to get back to work. And not so much necessarily financially for some people. For some, everybody's different in terms of why they want to get back to work. However, the climate has changed. Things have changed regardless of what your reason is for wanting to go back to work. If you haven't applied for a job in a while, things have changed. Ooh, things have changed considerably. I have been a career counselor for over 25 years, but I'm not stuck in the past. I am on it. I know what they're looking for. I am contemporary because guess what? I'm still looking for part-time, not full-time, something to subsidize my income. Plus, I'm a people person and I love being around people and meeting new people and having new experiences. Plus, I want to keep my brain sharp. I don't want to just be sitting in the house watching the soaps and looking at the news and listening to the news scare the heck out of me because that's what the news will do in most cases. Talk about the worst things that are happening in the world. But anyway, so you may just want to just get back out there and go to work. If whatever your reason is, you've come to the right place. So don't go nowhere. Stay right here. Now listen, let me talk about, so I have different videos talking about different aspects of getting back into the world of work. We have to acknowledge, if you don't know, things have changed considerably and there's a new way to do things, probably so much different than what you did when you initially applied for a job. Things are changing every couple of years, every year, every 6 months. They're coming out with something new about how to apply for jobs. Well, we know I'm sure you know that knocking on doors, looking for work like we used to do back in the day, that day is pretty much over. I remember I remember looking in the newspaper at want ads, help wanted, and shoot, I'd get that newspaper and go through it with a fine tooth comb looking for employment. Of course, that day has gone by. All the work, 99.9% of it is online. How you find work is online. Now, we're not talking about networking with friends and family. We're talking about when you're actually doing a job search. It is actually done online, and there are various websites that are promoting or that where you can find current jobs that are being looking to be filled by employers, and they post the jobs on the various sites. One of them is Indeed, and I talk about the various other ones on another video. But what I want to say on this particular video is get ready for interviewing process being totally different from what you've experienced. A lot of the interviews are what they call virtual interviews. What is a virtual interview? Well, you don't put on your Sunday go to meeting clothes, as we used to say, and go in person. Now, you may eventually go in person, but a lot of the interviewing initially is virtual. Now, what is virtual? Virtual is on camera, meaning you are looking at that person, not the interviewer, the recruiter, not in person, but via your computer or your phone. So that is a virtual interview. As a matter of fact, I have a virtual interview. I did one on, I think, was it last Thursday, I think it was. And I am scheduled for a final virtual interview this coming Thursday. So you may be thinking, oh boy, what am I supposed to do for a virtual interview? Well, in order to be considered and to be contemporary and to keep up with the times and the different processes for interviewing, you have to know how to conduct or how to get ready for a virtual interview. Now, there are some platforms that I'm going to mention that are used for virtual interview. One is Zoom, and you may have heard of that. You may not have heard of it. Zoom, and that's a huge one. Well, I should say that is a commonly used one by recruiters and employers to hold an actual interview with you. Another one is Indeed. Indeed also is a website where you can look for work, but also employers can actually set up a virtual interview through Indeed. So I think there was another one that I was thinking of. Team, Team, is another one that that can be utilized by employers, that is utilized by employers to set up a virtual interview. So now, in order to be competitive, we're not going, some people, I know a lot of us are concerned about, this is a younger, this is a, well, what am I trying to say here? There's a focus on youth and young, youth, that's all I can say. And the person who may be recruiting you or interviewing you, or even your supervisor, if you were to get hired, may be young enough to be your child. But don't worry about that, because your job, our job, is to catch up and find out what we need to do. We're not trying to, be 19 again. I don't want to be 19 again, But, we want to be able to be competitive, and being competitive meaning you are contemporary, you know what is required in order to apply for jobs, in order to interview, in order to get the job and keep the job. And it's a shift. It's a huge shift. So you need to be familiar with a virtual interview. One is Zoom, one is Team, Team, another one is Indeed, where that recruiter or prospective employer may send you a link, and you're going to have to click on that link in order to have that interview at whatever time and date is agreed upon to have an actual interview. So there's very few interviews where they're actually asking you to come into the office. There are a few, and they may eventually, after maybe the last interview, they may say, we'd like to meet you in person. But a lot of the interviews are virtual. So if the interviews are virtual, and that means you're going to be either using your phone, which I don't necessarily, especially for beginners, I don't suggest. I think it's much more user-friendly to use your desktop. It's now, if you're good on the phone and you're pretty savvy, more power to you. But the screen is much smaller, and I just personally like to do a virtual interview on my desktop. Now, what that means is you're going to have to do some dry runs. That means you're going to have to go to Zoom, Team, or whatever link is provided for you to do a virtual interview, and get your feet wet a little bit, and get familiar with it. So when that time comes to log into the link, you're not like, oh, where's the audio? Where's the camera? And this is my first time actually going here. No, you don't want no. So it's already, a lot of people are very nervous when it comes to interviewing, and these are some of the strategies for lessening the nervousness by being prepared. Another thing that I do, and I'm just thinking about this, is when I get the name of the interviewer, I will Google that interviewer, and I want to see a picture of that interviewer. That's what I did for my the upcoming Thursday interview that I'm going to have. So now I know how the man looks. So when the camera comes on, I'm not like, oh, in my mind, I didn't realize. No, I've seen the man. I read his profile online on LinkedIn. So so that's helping to alleviate the nervousness and the anxiety, and it giving you more. We need all the confidence and all the shoring up that we can get when it's time for an interview. And so those are little tricks or little strategies. I look up the interviewer's name, find out a little bit about that person, and I see how that person looks. So, and then, looking up that person, I get some information on their background, where they are, where they've worked before, what their education is, and any certifications, any licensing or whatever they have. So I have a pretty good idea of who I'm going to be interviewing with. I find that to be quite helpful. You're going to need to be familiar with Microsoft Office. You have to be computer literate. That don't mean you know all the software and all the applications, but you cannot be afraid to use the computer. You cannot be afraid to learn. And speaking of learning, if you are feeling like, oh boy, this is too much, well, no. We are living in the age of information, and there's all sorts of information out there to help us learn what we need to learn. You can go to YouTube and type in pretty much anything you want to type in, and somebody is going to give you instructions and help you figure certain things out, answer questions, provide tutorials, whatever. YouTube. This is a site, the site I'm going to give you now is actually taking courses. I mean, the courses are so cheap until they're almost giving them away. Udemy, Udemy. Udemy offers courses in A to Z. If you're looking to learn, well, how do I use Zoom, and how do I do this, and how do I do that? There are individuals who can give you instructions on how to navigate with those various platforms. You can hire someone. If you have the resources, you can hire someone to give you tutoring. At one point, when I first started doing, I'm a voiceover artist, among other things, I had uploaded the software, and I hired someone to tutor me on how to use the software, and it was quite helpful. So another site that you can access is Teachable, and they offer courses and instruction, mainly courses on A to Z again. Udemy, Udemy, YouTube is a resource. Hiring your own tutor in whatever area is another way to go about learning whatever it is you need to learn in order to be contemporary. You say you want to become gainfully employed, whether it's full-time or part-time, but you have to come correct. You cannot be perceived by the employer as ancient or out of date or just, behind the times. One thing I want to mention is a commonly perceived perception of older workers is what? Do you know? Do you know what the commonly held perception is? That we are stuck in our ways. I've always done it like this. Well, I got to do it like this. This is the way I learned it. I don't know why. No, that's stuck in your ways. Stuck in your ways. And employers cannot deal with individuals who are stuck in their ways. This is how I've always done it, and why we got to do it like this. And I don't know if I can learn that. You know, I'm just going to say this really quickly. I had a job, and I would still be there, but I wasn't. They couldn't accommodate me. It was too far away. Da 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 da. My supervisor was very sad that it couldn't work out. It was like 60 miles away or whatever, round trip, a little bit too much. But anyway, when I first started that job, they said, okay, we're going to issue you a phone. Well, I already have a phone. I'm like, I got a phone. I don't need what you give me a phone for. I got a phone. No, on their phone, it was all their apps, all their software. So I didn't have a choice. I could not use my own phone because all their software in terms of the timesheet, client notes, clocking in, calling my supervisor, all the newsletters, everything was on that phone. It happened to be an iPhone, and I'm an Android user. And I was like, oh my gosh, do I have to carry around a phone and learn all these apps? And I thought, oh my goodness, how am I going to? Guess what? I did what I had to do, and I learned what I had to learn. I told my supervisor, you're not going to have to keep telling me. And he laughed. I said, because I heard you say there's somebody who doesn't catch on, and there was somebody else he was referencing when he was doing the training. He didn't call the person's name. I said, but I'm not going to be that person. He said, oh, you remember I said that? I said, yes, and I'm not going to be that person. And sure enough, I did. I learned everything I needed to learn. I brought that phone home and went over the various apps and practiced on those apps and the various software, and I came up to speed. And they cannot say, oh, she's so old, she didn't catch on. Every time I turned around, she was fumbling around doing the wrong thing. No, 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 no. Anyway, I'm going to keep going until the wheels fall off. I want to use my brain. I want to take advantage of my the experience. I want to be able to utilize my experience, the skills, all of that I have, the passion for the type of work that I love to do, all of that, and so we have a lot to offer, all the experience, all of the skills that we have. That's our superpower. Okay, so but you have to come correct though, and you can if you think you can. Let's put it that way. If you're thinking, well, I'm too old, I know, I just knew stuff. Well, then I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to us spry. You remember that word? I don't know if you know that word. I'm talking to us older workers, 55 plus, mature workers who they're saying, you know what? It may be new to me, but I'm going to figure this out. There's a lot of resources out there, and there's no reason why I can't learn what I need to learn and be of value, be an asset to a prospective employer and to myself. All right? I think I'm going to sign off. My name is Maria. I have been a career advisor and more life skills coach for over 25 years, and I am still keeping my ear to the ground and keeping a pulse on everything in terms of contemporariness, in terms of looking for work and what employers are looking for. So please like and subscribe. I hope this has been helpful for you and inspire you. If you have any comments, please leave them. If you have any questions, if I can help you in any way, hey, I'll help you as much as I possibly can. I'm a people person, and you know what? I want you to be successful. And I want to see you at the top because that's where I hang out. Okay, Maria here. I'm going to sign off for now. And I'm going to continue making videos to help us get where we say we want to be and where we deserve to be. We've paid our dues after all. Don't you agree? All right, bye-bye for now. Thanks for checking out my video.